This week we are looking at the ancient Chinese philosophy of Taoism. These ideas emerged around 600 years before the Common Era. This philosophy comes from Lao Tzu, whose name means Old Master. Here are some key ideas we will explore in this philosophy. Lao Tzu encourages us to go with the flow, embrace ambiguity and reject labels, be open-minded, reject artifice and pretension, be natural, and understand that emptiness and absence are a source of creation. At the heart of Taoism is an emphasis on simplicity and naturalness. Taoists reject the artificial nature of civilized society and prefer the quiet life of the countryside. This openness to nature characterizes the metaphysics, epistemology, and ethics as taught by Lao Tzu. The name of Lao Tzu's text, the Dao de Ching, means the way and its power. The text gives us ideas about metaphysics, epistemology, and ethics. All of these ideas are seen through the lens of an author who has an appreciation for the mystical and uncategorizable nature of reality. Taoism is an inherently mystical philosophy, and the opening section of the Dao de Ching makes the point that the ways we think we can know and characterize the world are not as precise as we might think. There are ways, but the way is uncharted. There are names, but not nature in words. Nameless indeed is the source of creation, but things have a mother and she has a name. The secret waits for the insight of eyes unclouded by longing. Those who are bound by desire see only the outward container. These two come paired but distinct by their names. Of all things profound, say that their pairing is deepest, the gate to the root of the world. So what is going on here? People are quick to put labels on things and separate aspects of reality into different categories. Lao Tzu's opening statement here cautions us against judging things based on appearances and to be open-minded about unseen aspects of reality. Another point to note here is that Lao Tzu begins his text by characterizing the source of creation as being a maternal figure. This stands in contrast to the Western view of creation as coming from God as a father. To draw a thumbnail sketch of the difference between Western and Eastern philosophy, it is useful to take a look at an important symbol in Taoism, the yin-yang. It helps to juxtapose this with a checkerboard, which loosely represents the Western outlook. While Westerners are often rigid in their classifications of the world, Easterners in general, and Taoists in particular, have a more open-minded attitude towards the world. Westerners often want to see issues in terms of black and white and judge things accordingly. The Taoist perspective opens up a little more breathing room. What the yin-yang symbol shows us is that things need not be considered all bad or all good. Some things in life might have both aspects to offer. From the text, since the world points up beauty as such, there is ugliness too. If goodness is taken as goodness, wickedness enters as well. What is being said here is that anytime you point out something as having a particular quality, you are implying the existence of its opposite. Imagine telling someone they look good today. Sometimes the immediate thought in their head is, well, how did I look yesterday? Knowing this, we should realize that every positive or negative statement we make brings with it its opposite. Here is more from this passage. For is and is not come together. Hard and easy are complementary. Long and short are relative. High and low are comparative. Pitch and sound make harmony. Before and after are a sequence. The idea here is that you cannot have one quality without creating the existence of another category. Everything requires its opposite to exist. In this sense, There is nothing purely good or purely bad. Everything is all part of the mystical whole. Again, the metaphysics here is very foreign to the Western mindset. In Western philosophy, either something is positive or negative, either the light is on or off. Westerners deal with things in absolute terms. The Taoist perspective is much more open-minded and ambiguous. Taoists embrace ambiguity as a central fact of existence. Once this metaphysical outlook is taken seriously, the result can be a fairly laid-back, easygoing attitude. Here's some more from the text. Indeed, the wise man's office is to work by being still. He teaches not by speech, but by accomplishment. He does for everything, neglecting none. Their life he gives to all, possessing none. And what he brings to pass depends on no one else. As he succeeds, he takes no credit, and just because he does not take it, credit never leaves him. For Taoists, you are not necessarily a special and distinct aspect of reality. You are just part of the overall picture. As such, you should not take too much pride in your accomplishments, because you are the manifestation of an unfolding reality. The Western idea of the self and the ego that comes with it is something out of place in Taoist philosophy. An important part of the Taoist philosophy is its metaphysical outlook. For Taoists, something like the existence of God is an interesting issue. While we in the West imagine God to be an all-knowing father figure who judges people according to their actions, Taoists have a different view of things. For Taoists, the divine is characterized not by presence, but by absence. Because there is absence in the world, this leaves room for creativity. In the classic way of looking at creation, Westerners imagine God to come first and everything else follows. For Taoists, creation requires negative space from which things can emerge. This presents a radically different outlook than what we might be used to, but it also has interesting implications for how we are to engage with the world around us. Chapter 11 brings up the everyday objects of bowls and houses to illustrate the importance of absence and its role in providing room for creation. 30 spokes will converge in the hub of a wheel, but the use of the cart will depend on the part of the hub that is void. With a wall all around, a clay bowl is molded, but the use of the bowl will depend on the part of the bowl that is void. Cut out windows and doors in the house as you build, but the use of the house will depend on the space in the walls that is void. So advantage is had from whatever is there, but usefulness rises from whatever is not. The picture of reality here is that absence is a necessary element for existence. How might we use these insights? Well, if we want to create a solution to a problem, the answer might be found through taking a break from working on it. If we can figure out a way to clear our heads of everything, a creative thought might emerge. This is part of the reason why many people meditate. Rather than fill our schedule with as much activity as possible, we might feel better if we had some time to just relax and do nothing. But the key here is doing nothing. If we spend our free time watching television, checking social media, or reading the news, we keep filling our minds up with things, leaving little space for creativity. The idea here is that freeing up our minds from whatever it is that occupies our attention, we might realize something important. Again, these concepts are particularly foreign to the average Westerner. Here in the West, the emphasis is on productivity and action. It is not in our cultural makeup to take time to clear our heads of everything. And what is going to come from such meditation? It is hard to say. In fact, one of the elements of Taoist philosophy is that what we are seeking is inherently unnameable. Here is a different translation of the opening chapter we saw at the outset. The Tao that can be told of is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The nameless is the origin of heaven and earth. The named is the mother of all things. Therefore, let there always be non-being, so we may see their subtlety, and let there always be being, so we may see their outcome. The two are the same. But after they are produced, they have different names. They both may be called deep and profound. Deeper and more profound, the door of all subtleties. Note here the capitalization of the letter T in Tao. Remember, the Tao in Dao de Ching means way. What we are looking for here is the path, the road to enlightenment or inner peace or wisdom. There is no single road to wisdom. There is no one way to achieve enlightenment. While this philosophy does not really offer us concrete answers to real-world questions, what it does offer us is a more mystical, open-ended path to harmony. The notion here is that we can get so caught up with how things appear, we can become so concerned with the things that we want, that we might lose sight of what's really important. And one way to understand what's really important is to realize that the desires we follow in life might be part of what's preventing us from achieving true happiness. Okay, let's take a break from looking at text and consider Taoism as it appears in culture. One way of understanding Taoism is to think about the movie Kung Fu Panda. In this film, the main character Po is the adopted son of a noodle chef whose famous dish is secret ingredient soup. Po comes to find out that he may be destined to be a powerful kung fu master. Despite his hopes, Po doubts his abilities as he is big and oafish. He trains under Master Shifu and is told about a dragon scroll that has the key to mastering Kung Fu. As the movie works towards its climax, Po finally attains the dragon scroll and opens it up to see the truths of Kung Fu inside. The result? A shimmering scroll where you can only see your reflection. The message: you are the secret you have been looking for. You have the key to understanding things. You just have to believe in yourself. This idea appears again when Po finally finds out the secret ingredient in his father's noodles. It is nothing. The father just tells people that the noodles have a secret ingredient, and they believe in its power anyway. There are many ways of interpreting the message here, but one of them is that there is no secret magical formula for unlocking all of our understanding. We only have to believe in ourselves, and we can unlock the potential that's already within us. There's another film which I think helps us to understand the nature of Taoism, and that is The Big Lebowski. In this film, the dude, played by Jeff Bridges, is an aging hippie who likes to go bowling and has a laid-back attitude towards life. Things happen to him and he has to deal with problems, but he generally doesn't get too worried about anything. This easygoing attitude is one way of thinking about Taoism. And if you think the dude's lack of ambition is problematic, then you understand an important criticism of Taoist philosophy. That being said, one of the dude's famous lines is during an argument with another character, when after the other person insists they are right, The dude replies with, "Well, that's just like your opinion, man." This relaxed attitude towards knowledge and truth is a fairly accurate representation of Taoism. Taoists want us to return to nature and to reject the artificial quality of civilization. A Taoist would rather take a walk in the woods than go to a ceremony like the one depicted here. The problem with ritual and ceremony for Taoism is that there is too much emphasis placed on appearances. A Taoist would rather be good than appear good, and there is a worry that people get too caught up with how others see them, rather than being concerned with how they really are. Here is a passage that reflects the Taoist attitude towards culture and civilization. Get rid of the wise men, put out the professors, then the people will profit 100-fold over. Away with the kind ones, those righteous men too, and let people return to the graces of home. Root out the artisans, banish the profiteers, and bandits and robbers will not come to plunder. But if these three prove not enough to satisfy the mind and heart, more relevant then, let there be a visible simplicity of life, embracing unpretentious ways, and small self-interest and poverty of coveting. What is being called for here should be clear. According to Lao Tzu, when we become too concerned with our own desires and keeping up with the expectations of those around us, we will be unsatisfied. If we truly want to be in harmony with life, we should have small self-interest. We should want less and try our best to be simple and unpretentious. These ideas have a lot of similarity to what is prescribed by Buddhist philosophy, a subject we will look to in our next lesson. For now, let's look at a few more passages before concluding. Between the earth and sky, the space is like a bellows, empty but unspent. When moved, its gift is copious. Much talk means much exhaustion. Better far it is to keep your thoughts. Those who know do not talk, and talkers do not know. Stop your senses, close your doors. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. To take all you want is never as good as to stop when you should. Wealth, power, and pride bequeath their own doom. When fame and success come to you, then retire. This is the ordained way. So, what is the ideal Taoist? On some level, it is someone who would be quite comfortable on a solitary walk through a natural environment, far away from the business of everyday civilization. Here is a scene where we can imagine a Taoist at home with himself. In such a place, according to legend, Confucius, another Chinese philosopher, challenged a Taoist about his seemingly antisocial life. Confucius told the Taoist that it was important to help others and to make the world a better place. The Taoist responded, "Such is the world, and who can change it?" Confucius's response is worth noting. One cannot herd with birds and beasts. If I am not to be a man among other men, then what am I to be? If the way prevailed under heaven, I should not be trying to alter things. The criticism here is that Taoists may be attaining inner peace, but they're giving up on the world around them. For the Confucians, it is important to not give up and retreat into nature. Rather, we must make an effort to make the world a better place. While the Taoist philosophy offers us peace of mind, there is not as much emphasis on ambition or activism. The Taoists accept the world for what it is. I leave it up to you to decide when it is appropriate to agitate for change and when it is a good idea to be open-minded and go with the flow.